My daughter Brittany standing in my driveway, mouth hanging open, staring at the brand new silver Lexus parked where my old Honda used to be. "Mom, whose car is that?" I smiled. "Mine. Paid cash for it yesterday." The look on her face, priceless. Absolutely priceless. But I'm getting ahead of myself. Let me back up and tell you how a 62-year-old widow, who everyone thought was barely scraping by, managed to shock her entire family with a secret fortune. My name is Susan, and for 3 years I let my children think I was poor. Not struggling exactly, but living on a tight budget, counting pennies, wearing old clothes, driving that beaten-up Honda, living in the same small house my husband left me when he passed. My daughter Brittany, God love her, but she's exhausting, would come over and immediately start critiquing everything. "Mom, this carpet is ancient. You really should replace it." Or, "Mom, how are you spending your retirement money? You need to be more careful." She'd tell my son Dave, right in front of me like I wasn't even there, "We need to keep an eye on Mom's finances. Make sure she doesn't run out of money when she gets older." Like I was already senile, like I was already a burden. She even suggested, multiple times, that I should sell my house and move into a smaller apartment in a cheaper area. "You don't need all this space, Mom. Think of what you could save." What Brittany didn't know, what neither of my kids knew, I was making $3,000 a month, every single month, from a business I'd built entirely on my own. And I wasn't just making it, I was saving it, almost every penny of it. You see, after my husband died 5 years ago, I found myself with a lot of time and a lot of grief. I needed something to do, something that was mine. I'd always loved antiques, loved the stories behind old things, loved restoring beautiful objects that other people threw away. So I started small, buying items at estate sales, fixing them up, selling them online. Then it grew, and grew, and grew. I created an online shop called Timeless Finds, vintage home decor, restored antiques, collectibles. I had an eye for quality and a talent for restoration. Word spread, reviews piled up, orders came flooding in. Within a year, I was pulling in $3,000 a month, net profit. That's after expenses, after supplies, after everything. More than my actual retirement income. And I didn't tell a soul. I converted my old laundry room into a home office. I installed a lock on the door. When Dave and Brittany came to visit, I'd lock that room tight and hide the key. "What's in there, Mom?" "Oh, just storage, boxes of your father's old things. Too painful to sort through yet." They bought it, every time. They thought I spent my days watching soap operas and clipping coupons. Meanwhile, I was shipping packages to customers in 42 states, answering emails, sourcing inventory, building a legitimate business. All that money? It went into a separate bank account, one my kids didn't know existed, one with a balance that grew bigger every single month. I had a plan, you see, a dream. I wanted to buy a small beachfront condo in Florida, somewhere warm, somewhere I could escape the New Jersey winters, somewhere that was completely and totally mine. But more than that, I wanted to teach my children, especially Brittany, a lesson. I wanted them to understand that you can't judge a book by its cover, that their poor old mom was more capable than they'd ever imagined, that their condescension and their pity were completely unwarranted. So I played the role. I wore the old clothes. I drove the old car. I listened to Brittany's endless suggestions about being careful with money without saying a word. I let them underestimate me, and I waited for the perfect moment to reveal the truth. That moment came on a Tuesday afternoon when Brittany called me, her voice dripping with fake sweetness. "Mom, Dave and I need to talk to you about something. Can we come over?" I knew what was coming. I'd been expecting it. "Of course, sweetheart. Come by tomorrow around 3. When I hung up, I smiled, because tomorrow, everything was going to change. Tomorrow, Brittany and Dave were going to discover that their poor old mom had been playing them all along, and I couldn't wait to see their faces. Let me tell you about Timeless Finds, the business I built in secret. It started innocently enough. 6 months after my husband Tom passed, I was drowning in grief and boredom. The house felt too big, too empty, too full of memories. I needed something, anything. I'd always haunted estate sales with Tom. He loved the hunt, finding that one perfect piece among all the junk. After he died, I kept going, partly because I missed him, partly because I didn't know what else to do with my Saturdays. One weekend, I found this gorgeous Victorian-era mirror at an estate sale. It was tarnished, the frame was chipped, but underneath all that neglect, I could see its potential. I bought it for $15. I spent 2 weeks restoring it, carefully removing the old finish, repairing the frame, re-silvering the mirror itself. When I was done, it was absolutely stunning. I posted it on eBay, mostly just to see if anyone would be interested. It sold in 3 hours, for $350. That's when the light bulb went off. I started going to more estate sales, thrift stores, auctions. I'd buy damaged or overlooked pieces, furniture, mirrors, picture frames, vintage home decor. I'd restore them with care and skill I didn't even know I had, and they sold. God, did they sell. Within 6 months, I had a legitimate online store, a website, a social media presence, 5-star reviews from customers all over the country. By the end of the first year, I was making more from timeless finds than I was getting from Tom's retirement benefits. And I never told my kids. Why, you might ask?
Why keep it secret?
Because of Brittany. Let me paint you a picture of my daughter. Brittany is 40 years old. She's a successful event planner in Manhattan. She makes good money, lives in a nice apartment, wears designer clothes, and she is absolutely obsessed with appearances. Everything in Brittany's life is curated. Her Instagram is perfect. Her career is perfect. Her image is perfect. And her poor old mom didn't fit that image. I remember the first time she really made me feel small. It was about a year after Tom died. She came to visit, took one look around my house, and sighed this long, dramatic sigh. "Mom, you can't keep living like this. This house is falling apart. That couch is from the 80s. Your car barely runs. You need to start thinking about downsizing. Dave and I can help you find a nice senior apartment, something affordable." Senior apartment. Like I was ready for assisted living. I was 60 years old. "I'm fine, Brittany. The house is paid off. I have everything I need." "But you don't, Mom. You're living on a fixed income. You need to be smart about this. Sell the house now while you can still get a decent price. Move somewhere smaller. Save that money for when you really need it." When I really need it. Code for when you become our burden. My son Dave is better, less pushy, more concerned than condescending. But even he bought into Brittany's narrative. "Mom seems to be struggling," he'd say. "We should keep an eye on her finances." They meant well. I think they genuinely believed they were helping. But nobody asked me if I needed help. Nobody considered that I might be managing just fine. Nobody thought their old mom might actually be capable of taking care of herself. So I decided to let them think what they wanted to think. I kept wearing my old clothes, perfectly good clothes, by the way, just not trendy. I kept driving my old Honda, which ran perfectly well, thank you very much. I kept the same furniture, the same carpet, the same everything. And while they were pitying me, I was building an empire. Well, not an empire, but a damn good business. Every morning I'd wake up at 6. I'd spend 2 hours photographing items, listing them online, answering customer questions, processing orders. Then I'd spend the afternoon in my workshop, that locked laundry room, restoring pieces. I got good, really good. I learned techniques from YouTube videos. I invested in proper tools. I developed an eye for quality that customers trusted. My customer reviews were glowing. Susan's work is museum quality. The piece I received was even more beautiful than the photos. I'll never buy from anyone else. And the money kept rolling in. $3,000 a month, sometimes more during holiday seasons. I funneled it all into my secret account, the account Brittany and Dave knew nothing about. I had a goal, $50,000. That's what I needed for a down payment on a small condo in Florida. Somewhere I could escape to, somewhere warm and peaceful. By the time Brittany called asking to talk, I had $63,000 saved, plus enough to buy a new car outright. The Lexus wasn't even the main event. It was just the opening act. A way to get their attention before I dropped the real bomb. When Brittany asked to come over, I knew exactly what she wanted. She and Dave were going to ask me for money, probably a loan, probably something they desperately needed and thought poor old Mom couldn't possibly provide. I spent that whole night planning what I'd say, how I'd reveal my secret, what their faces would look like. I barely slept. The next morning, I got up early. I drove to the Lexus dealership. I paid cash, actual cash, not financing, for a brand new silver Lexus SUV. Then I drove it home and parked it right in my driveway where my old Honda used to be. And I waited for Brittany and Dave to arrive. At 2:55 p.m., their cars pulled up. I watched from the window as they both stopped, staring at the Lexus. This was it, the moment I'd been planning for 3 years. Time to show them who Susan really was. They stood in my driveway for a full minute, just staring at the Lexus. I could see them through my front window, their faces twisted in confusion. Whose car was that? Why was it parked at their mother's house? I opened the door before they could knock. "Hi, honey. Dave, come in, come in." Brittany couldn't even get past the entryway. "Mom, whose car is that?" "Mine," I said simply. "Just bought it. Isn't she beautiful?" "Yours?" Brittany's voice went up an octave. "Mom, what are you talking about? You drive a Honda." "Drove a Honda. Past tense. This is much nicer, don't you think?" Dave was staring at me like I'd grown a second head. "Mom, how did you finance it?" "Cash," I said, "paid in full. Would you like some coffee?" I walked to the kitchen, leaving them standing there processing. I could hear them whispering frantically. "Dave, what the hell is going on?" "I don't know. Maybe she got an inheritance or something?" "From who?" "All her relatives are dead." I poured 3 coffees and brought them to the living room with the ancient carpet and the outdated furniture that Brittany loved to criticize. "So," I said, sitting in my favorite chair, "what did you want to talk about?" Brittany and Dave exchanged looks. Whatever they'd planned to say had been completely derailed by the Lexus. "Well," Brittany started, then stopped. She was flustered. I'd never seen her flustered. "We were actually going to talk to you about finances." "What about them?" "Mom," Dave jumped in, his tone gentle. "We've been worried about you, living on a fixed income, all alone in this big house. We thought maybe—" "You thought I needed money," I finished for him. Brittany's face went red. "No, not exactly. We thought maybe you needed help managing your money, making sure you're set up for the future." "The future," I repeated. "You mean making sure I don't become a burden to you?" "Mom, that's not—" Dave started. "It's exactly what you mean. And you know what? I don't blame you. I've let you think I was struggling, that I was barely getting by, that poor old Susan needed her successful children to swoop in and rescue her." I took a sip of my coffee, let the silence stretch. "But here's the thing. I don't need rescuing." Brittany found her voice. "Clearly not if you're buying luxury cars. Mom, where did this money come from? Did you take out a loan against the house? Because if you did—" "I didn't take out anything. I earned it." "Earned it? Mom, you're retired." I smiled. "Am I?" I pulled out my phone. They probably thought it was just for playing solitaire and opened my business accounts. I turned the screen toward them. "This is my online store, Timeless Finds. I restore and sell vintage home decor and antiques. This month, I've made $3,200. Last month was $2,900. The month before that was $3,400. I've been doing this for 3 years." Brittany grabbed the phone, her eyes scanning the screen. "This can't be real." "It's very real. Check the bank account." I pulled up my secondary banking app, the one showing $63,000 in savings. Dave's mouth literally fell open. "Mom, you have $63,000? "Had, before the car. Now it's about $52,000. But it'll build back up. It always does." Brittany was scrolling through my online store, looking at the items, the reviews, the sales history. Her face went through about 17 different emotions. "You've been running a business? For 3 years? And you never told us?" "I didn't think you'd be interested," I said. "You were so busy telling me how to manage my fixed income and suggesting I downsize my life." "Mom, that's not fair." "Isn't it, Brittany?" My voice was calm but firm. How many times have you come to this house and criticized how I live? How many times have you suggested I was being careless with money? How many times have you treated me like I was incompetent? She didn't answer. I'm 62 years old. I built a successful online business from scratch. I learned skills I never knew I had. I made connections with customers across the country. And I did it all while you were patting me on the head and telling me to be careful with my pennies. Dave looked genuinely ashamed. Mom, I'm sorry. We didn't know. You didn't ask. That hit home. I could see it in both their faces. So, I continued, you came here to talk about finances. Was there something specific you needed? Brittany and Dave exchanged another look. This one was different, uncomfortable, embarrassed. Brittany started, then stopped. Go on. She took a deep breath. I'm expanding my event planning business, opening a second location. I need $40,000 for startup costs. The bank turned me down. We already have too much debt. We were going to ask if you could co-sign a loan or maybe what? Maybe lend us the money, Dave finished quietly. We'd pay you back with interest. We have a business plan, projections. It's a solid investment. I looked at them both, my children, who'd spent 3 years treating me like a child, who'd never once asked about my life, my interests, my capabilities, who'd come to me only when they needed something. No, I said. Brittany blinked. What? I said no. I'm not co-signing anything. I'm not lending you anything. But Mom, I have this money because I worked hard for it, because I built something on my own, and I'm not giving it to someone who spent years looking down on me. I never looked down on you. Really? Brittany, you told me last month that I should shop at Goodwill instead of buying expensive groceries at the regular supermarket. You suggested I get a roommate to help with expenses. You've treated me like a charity case for 3 years. Her face crumpled. I was trying to help. No, you were trying to manage me, to control me, because you were embarrassed by your poor old mom who couldn't take care of herself. That's not true. But we both knew it was. I stood up. I think you should both leave now. I have orders to pack and ship. They didn't move. Mom, Dave said carefully, we're sorry, really. We should have treated you better. But we're family. Doesn't that count for something? Family works both ways, Dave. You can't ignore someone until you need something from them. I walked to the door and opened it. They left without another word. And I stood there in my doorway, watching them drive away, feeling something I hadn't felt in years. Power. After they left, I went to my workshop, that mysterious locked room they'd been so curious about for 3 years. I unlocked the door and stepped inside, and I swear I could still feel their presence lingering in the house, all confused and hurt. Good. Let them sit with that for a while. My workshop wasn't fancy. It used to be a laundry room about 10 by 12 feet, but I'd transformed it into something special. One wall was lined with tools, sanders, paintbrushes of every size, wood stains, polishes, specialty cleaners. Another wall had shelving units stacked with inventory, items I'd purchased and was waiting to restore, items mid-restoration, items ready to photograph and list. My computer desk sat in the corner facing the window. This was where I did all my admin work, listing items, answering customer emails, processing orders, managing the business side of things. And pinned to the wall above my desk was a vision board. Pictures of beach houses, Florida sunsets, palm trees, the specific condo complex I'd been eyeing in Fort Myers. This was my dream, my secret, my purpose. I sat down at my desk and pulled up my favorite project, a Victorian writing desk I'd found at an estate sale 3 weeks ago. It was in rough shape, water-damaged top, broken drawer pulls, finish so dull you could barely see the grain. But I could see what it would become. That's the thing about restoration work. You have to look past the damage and see the potential. See what something was meant to be. Kind of like how I wished my kids could have looked at me. My phone buzzed. A text from Dave. Mom, can we talk tomorrow? Please? I didn't respond. Not yet. Let them sweat. Instead, I pulled up my online store. 17 new orders had come in since this morning. A lamp, 2 picture frames, a set of vintage bookends, various other items. I started packing orders, wrapping each piece carefully, writing personalized thank you notes to include with every shipment. This was part of why my customers loved me. I treated each order like it mattered, because it did. Susan's attention to detail is unmatched, one review said. It's clear she cares about her work. I did care. This business wasn't just about money. It was about purpose, about proving to myself that I was still capable, still creative, still valuable, about being more than just somebody's mother or somebody's burden. As I worked, I thought about how this all started. That first piece I'd restored, the Victorian mirror. I'd been so nervous listing it on eBay. What if nobody wanted it? What if I'd wasted my time? What if it sat there forever, proof that I was foolish for even trying? But it sold, immediately, and the buyer left a glowing review. This mirror is absolutely stunning. The restoration work is professional grade. I can't believe the transformation. That review changed something in me. It made me realize I was good at this, really good. I started studying restoration techniques obsessively. I watched hundreds of hours of YouTube tutorials. I joined online forums for antique dealers and restoration professionals. I learned about wood types, finish types, proper cleaning methods, how to spot quality pieces. I became an expert, and nobody in my family had any idea. Brittany would come over, glance at the locked door, and say, "Mom, you really should clean out that room. All those boxes of Dad's stuff. It's not healthy to hold on to everything." If only she knew what was really in there. Not boxes of grief, but tools of transformation. Not a shrine to the past, but a workshop for the future. My phone buzzed again, this time Brittany. "Mom, I'm sorry about earlier. I didn't mean to upset you. Can we please talk?" I felt a twinge of guilt. They were my kids. I loved them. But they'd hurt me, repeatedly, for years. And more importantly, they'd never seen me. I remembered a conversation from about 6 months ago. Brittany had stopped by unannounced, found me in old clothes with sawdust in my hair. "Mom, what happened to you? You look like you've been in a fight." "Just doing some work in the garage," I'd said vaguely. "What kind of work?" "Oh, just reorganizing some things." She'd wrinkled her nose. "You should hire someone to do that. At your age, you shouldn't be doing heavy lifting." At my age. I was 62, not 92. I could have told her then. Could have shown her my thriving business, my impressive sales figures, my 5-star reviews. Could have proven I was more capable than she thought. But I didn't, because part of me wanted to see how long it would take for them to figure it out on their own, to notice that I was happy, fulfilled, busy with something meaningful. They never did. They only noticed when I showed up with Alexis. I finished packing the orders and printed shipping labels. Tomorrow, I'd drop them at the post office. 17 more customers would receive beautiful, lovingly restored pieces. 17 more reasons to keep doing what I was doing. I pulled up my savings account again. $52,000 after the car purchase. Add this week's sales and I'd be back to $54,000. My goal was $75,000. That would cover the down payment on the condo, closing costs, moving expenses, and leave me with a comfortable cushion. At my current rate, I'd reach that goal in 7 months. 7 months until I could buy my dream, my beach condo, my escape, my proof that Susan wasn't done living yet. I looked at the vision board again, imagined myself sitting on a balcony overlooking the ocean, morning coffee in hand. No more New Jersey winters. I'd done this, built this, earned this, without anyone's help, without anyone's permission, without anyone's approval. My phone buzzed a third time. Dave again. "Mom, please, we love you. We're sorry. Let us make this right." I finally responded. "Tomorrow, 10 a.m., my house. We'll talk." Because despite everything, they were still my kids. And maybe, just maybe, this could be a turning point. But they were going to have to earn back my trust, and that wouldn't be easy. I barely slept that night. Not because I was anxious, I was actually calm. But my mind kept replaying the looks on their faces when I'd revealed my secret. The shock, the confusion, the embarrassment. Part of me felt vindicated, triumphant even. I'd proven them wrong in the most spectacular way possible. But another part of me, the mother part, felt sad. Sad that it had come to this. Sad that I'd felt the need to hide my success from my own children. Sad that our relationship had deteriorated to the point where I didn't trust them with my truth. At 9:45 a.m., I made coffee. Strong coffee. This conversation was going to require caffeine. At exactly 10 a.m., both cars pulled into my driveway. They were punctual, at least. That was something. I opened the door before they could knock. "Come in." They looked terrible. Brittany's eyes were puffy. She'd been crying. Dave looked like he hadn't slept at all. Good. They should feel uncomfortable. They'd made me feel uncomfortable for 3 years. We sat in the living room again. Nobody touched the coffee I'd poured. Brittany spoke first. "Mom, I've been up all night thinking about what you said. And you're right. I have been condescending. I have treated you like you couldn't take care of yourself." "Why?" I asked simply. She struggled with the answer. I don't know. Maybe because Dad always handled the finances when he was alive. Maybe because you're my mom and I wanted to protect you. Maybe because..." She stopped. "Maybe because it made you feel important," I suggested. "Made you feel needed?" Her face crumpled. "Maybe." Dave leaned forward. "Mom, I should have stood up for you. When Brittany would talk about your finances, about downsizing, about all of it, I should have pushed back. Should have told her to back off. But I didn't. I let it happen." "You participated," I corrected. "You might have been gentler about it, but you were part of it too." He nodded, accepting that truth. "Do you want to know why I kept this secret?" I asked. "Why I built this whole business and never told either of you?" They both nodded. "Because I needed something that was mine. Something you couldn't manage or criticize or worry about. After your father died, everyone treated me like I was fragile, like I might break at any moment, you two especially." "We were worried about you," Brittany protested. "You were worried about becoming responsible for me. There's a difference." The words hung in the air, harsh but true. I needed to prove, to myself, not to you, that I was still capable, still relevant, still able to create something meaningful. So I built Timeless Finds. And it became more than a business. It became my identity, my purpose, my proof that Susan still mattered. "You've always mattered," Dave said quietly. "Not the way you treated me, I didn't. I was a problem to be managed, an expense to be minimized, a future burden to be prepared for." Brittany was crying now. "I'm so sorry, Mom. I never meant to make you feel that way." "But you did, both of you." We sat in silence for a long moment. Finally, Dave asked, "What do we do now? How do we fix this?" I've been thinking about that all night. What did I want from them? An apology? They'd given that. Understanding? Maybe they were starting to get it. "I want you to see me," I said. "Really see me. Not as your aging mother who needs to be managed, not as a potential burden, not as someone who needs your help, but as Susan, a person with skills and interests and capabilities, a person who's still growing and learning and building things." "We can do that," Brittany said quickly. "Can you? Because it's going to require a fundamental shift in how you think about me, and I'm not sure you're capable of that." "We are. I promise, we are." I looked at both of them, my children, who I loved despite everything, who I wanted to have a relationship with, but not on the old terms, never on the old terms again. "Here's what's going to happen," I said. "I'm going to give you a tour of my workshop. I'm going to show you what I've built, and you're going to really look at it, really understand it, not with pity or concern or condescension, but with genuine interest and respect." "Okay," Dave said. "And then we're going to talk about your business loan request. But Brittany, I need you to understand something. I'm not saying no because I'm punishing you. I'm saying no because lending money to family changes the relationship, and our relationship needs to change in a different direction. Her face fell, but she nodded. However, I continued, I will help you in a different way. I'll teach you what I've learned about building a business with limited resources, about marketing, about customer service, about creating something sustainable, if you're willing to learn. I'm willing, she said immediately. We'll see. I stood up. Come on, let me show you what you've been missing. I led them to the locked room, the mysterious room they'd been curious about for 3 years. I unlocked the door and pushed it open. Welcome to Timeless Finds. They stepped inside, and I watched their faces change as they took it all in. The tools, the inventory, the computer setup, the vision board. Brittany walked slowly around the room, touching things carefully. She picked up a before and after photo of a lamp I'd restored. Mom, this is incredible. You did this transformation? All of it. Cleaning, rewiring, new shade, the works. Dave was looking at my computer screen, scrolling through customer reviews. 5 stars. All 5 stars. Mom, you have 2,000 reviews, and they're all perfect. Not all perfect, 99.6%. There was one lady who didn't like the shade of green I used on a vintage planter. He laughed. Actually laughed. Mom, I had no idea you were capable of this. That's the problem, Dave. You should have known I was capable. You should have assumed I was capable. Instead, you assumed I was helpless. The laughter faded. You're right. I'm sorry. Brittany was looking at the vision board now. Florida? You're moving to Florida? Eventually, when I have enough saved. That's what the money is for. Not just the car, that was an impulse, but the condo, the dream, the next chapter. Without telling us, she said softly. Would you have supported it? Or would you have tried to talk me out of it, told me it was irresponsible, suggested I stay close to you in case I need help? She didn't answer. She didn't need to. We both knew the truth. This is your dream, Dave said, still looking at the board. Your actual dream. Yes. Then we should support it, no matter what, because it's your life, not ours. I felt something tight in my chest loosen slightly. Thank you. We spent the next 2 hours in that workshop. I showed them pieces I was working on, explained my process, walked them through my business model, answered their questions honestly. For the first time in 3 years, they were really listening to me, really seeing me. And maybe, just maybe, we were going to be okay. 3 weeks after the big reveal, Brittany showed up at my door on a Saturday morning with coffee and bagels. I thought maybe I could watch you work today, if that's okay. I was surprised, but I let her in. We went to the workshop and I showed her the piece I was currently restoring, a 1920s vanity table with water damage and a cracked mirror. It's a mess, Brittany said, running her hand over the damaged surface. It's a diamond in the rough, I corrected. You just have to know how to bring out its beauty. She watched as I carefully sanded away the old, damaged finish, revealing the gorgeous oak underneath. Her phone rang twice. She ignored it. That was new. How did you learn all this? She asked. YouTube mostly, forums, trial and error. A lot of error at first, I smiled. I ruined 3 pieces completely before I figured out what I was doing. But you kept trying. I had to. I needed this to work. Needed something that was mine. She was quiet for a moment, then, I've been thinking about what you said, about the loan. And you're right, I shouldn't have asked you to fund my business. I should figure it out myself. Smart. So I've been looking at alternative funding, smaller scale launch, bootstrap it like you did. She pulled out her phone and showed me a revised business plan. Less overhead, slower growth, but sustainable. I looked at the numbers. They were solid, realistic. This is good, Brittany, really good. I learned from watching you. You didn't start big. You started with 1 piece, then 10, then 100. You grew organically. That's the only way to build something that lasts. She helped me sand the vanity for the next hour. We didn't talk much. It was comfortable silence, working silence. When she left, she hugged me. Thanks, Mom, for showing me this, for teaching me. You're welcome. After she left, I realized something had shifted. She wasn't trying to manage me anymore. She was trying to learn from me. That felt good. Dave started calling more often. Not to check up on me, but to actually talk. About his work, about his kids, about life. And he asked about my business. How's Timeless Finds doing? Any interesting pieces this week? The fact that he asked meant everything. One evening, he came over with his teenage daughter, my granddaughter, Emily. Emily's thinking about starting an Etsy shop, Dave said. I thought maybe you could give her some advice? Emily was 16, nervous, excited. I make jewelry, nothing fancy, but people at school seem to like it. I spent 2 hours with her going over business basics, pricing, photography, customer service, the importance of good packaging, how to handle difficult customers. She took notes, actual notes, like what I was saying mattered. Grandma, you're really good at this, she said. I've learned a lot in 3 years. Can I come back, maybe once a week, to learn more? I looked at Dave. He was smiling, proud. Of course you can, sweetheart. After they left, I thought about how much had changed. My granddaughter saw me as a mentor, not as an old lady to be managed, but as someone with valuable knowledge. That's what I'd wanted all along, to be valued for what I could contribute, not pitied for what I might lack. The business continued to thrive. I was regularly pulling in $3,000 to $4,000 a month now. My savings account was climbing steadily toward my goal, and I'd started actually looking at condos in Florida. Not just dreaming about them, but seriously researching, making plans, preparing for my next chapter. One afternoon, I got an email from a woman who'd bought a restored dresser from me 6 months earlier. Susan, I just wanted to thank you again. This dresser sits in my bedroom, and every morning when I see it, I think about second chances, about how something broken can be made beautiful again. I'm going through a divorce right now, and somehow this dresser gives me hope that I can be restored too. Thank you for what you do. I cried reading that email, because that's what this business had become. Not just about selling furniture, but about transformation. About showing people that broken things, broken people, could be made whole again. I'd been broken after Tom died, grief-stricken, lost, unsure of who I was without him. And I'd restored myself piece by piece, just like these items in my workshop. Brittany's business launch happened 2 months later, smaller than originally planned, but solid. She'd taken my advice, bootstrap, grow organically, don't overextend. I went to the opening. So did Dave and his family. We celebrated together, and for the first time in years, I felt like we were actually family again. I couldn't have done this without you, Mom, Brittany said. Not just the advice, but the example. Watching you build something from nothing gave me the courage to try. You did the work. I just showed you it was possible. As I drove home that night in my Lexus, which I still loved, I thought about how far we'd all come. They saw me now, really saw me. Not as someone to be managed, but as someone to be respected. And I'd learned something too. I'd learned that sometimes you have to let people see you fall before they'll appreciate watching you rise. My secret business had done more than build my bank account. It had rebuilt my relationship with my children. Not back to what it was, that was gone forever, but into something new, something better, something built on respect instead of pity, on admiration instead of concern. I was still planning to move to Florida. That dream hadn't changed. But now, when I left, it wouldn't be running away from family who didn't value me. It would be moving toward a new adventure with family who finally understood me. That made all the difference. 6 months after the big reveal, I hit my savings goal, $75,000. I sat at my computer, staring at that number, hardly believing it was real. 3 years of work, 3 years of secrecy, 3 years of building something entirely my own. And now I could actually do it. Buy the condo, move to Florida, start my next chapter. I pulled up the listings I've been bookmarking. Small beachfront condos in Fort Myers. 2 bedrooms, one for me, one for my workshop. Ocean view, pool, everything I'd dreamed about. There was one in particular I kept coming back to. 2nd floor, corner unit, balcony facing the water, listed at $68,000. I called the realtor. Hi, I'm Susan Mitchell. I'm interested in the corner unit at Pelican Bay. Is it still available? It is. Would you like to schedule a viewing? I'd like to make an offer, sight unseen. The realtor paused. Ma'am, I really recommend seeing the property first. I've seen photos. I've researched the building. I know what I want. $68,000, cash offer, closing in 30 days. Another pause. Let me call the seller. I'll get back to you within the hour. I hung up, my heart racing. I was doing this, actually doing this. My phone rang 20 minutes later. Ms. Mitchell, they accepted your offer. The condo is yours. I cried, sat right there at my desk and cried happy tears. The condo was mine. The dream was real. I called Dave first. I bought a condo in Florida. Silence. Then, you did it. You actually did it. Mom, that's incredible. I close in 30 days. I'll probably move down in about 2 months. We'll help you pack. We'll help you move. Whatever you need. Thank you. I called Brittany next. Her reaction was different. Florida? Mom, that's so far away. What if you need help? What if something happens? And there it was, the old Brittany, the worrier, the manager. Brittany, I'll be fine. I've been taking care of myself for 3 years. I'll continue taking care of myself in Florida. But, no buts. This is happening. I'd love your support, but I don't need your permission. She was quiet for a long moment. Then, you're right. I'm sorry. Old habits. Of course you'll be fine. More than fine. You'll be happy. I will. The next month flew by. I started packing, sorting, deciding what to keep and what to donate. The house was full of memories, but I was ready to make new ones. Emily came over several times to help pack. We worked in the workshop, carefully wrapping inventory and tools. Grandma, are you scared? She asked. Moving somewhere new where you don't know anyone? Terrified, I admitted, but also excited. Sometimes the best things in life are on the other side of fear. Is that why you kept your business secret? You were scared? Partly, but mostly I kept it secret because I needed to prove something to myself. Needed to know I could do it. Did you prove it? I did, and now I'm ready for the next adventure. Closing day arrived. I drove to the title company, in my Lexus, of course, and signed papers, lots of papers. Congratulations, Ms. Mitchell, the closer said. You're now the proud owner of a beachfront condo in Fort Myers, Florida. I walked out with keys in my hand and dreams in my heart. 2 weeks later, the moving truck was loaded. Not all my furniture, a lot of it stayed with the house, which I decided to rent out rather than sell. More income, more security. Dave and Brittany both came to say goodbye. Both hugged me tight. Call us when you get there, Dave said. Let us know you arrived safely. I will. Mom? Brittany's voice was small. I'm proud of you. I know I haven't said that enough, but I am. You're the bravest person I know. Those words meant more than she'd ever understand. The drive to Florida took 2 days. I stopped overnight in South Carolina, too excited to sleep much. The next afternoon, I crossed into Florida, saw the Welcome to the Sunshine State sign, and started crying again. I'd made it. I'd actually made it. The condo was everything I'd hoped for. Small, but perfect. The balcony had an unobstructed ocean view. I could hear waves from inside. I stood on that balcony the first evening, watching the sunset paint the sky orange and pink, and I felt something I hadn't felt in years. Complete peace. I'd done this, built this life, created this opportunity, all by myself. Well, not entirely by myself. Tom's insurance money had given me a foundation. My customers had believed in my work. My kids, eventually, had learned to support me. But the core of it, the determination, the skill, the business acumen, that was all Susan. And Susan wasn't done yet. I set up my workshop in the second bedroom. Same tools, same inventory system, same dedication. Timeless Finds relocated smoothly. My customers didn't care where I shipped from. I also joined a local beach walking group, met other retirees, Some running businesses, some volunteering, all living their best lives. Nobody treated me like I was old. Nobody suggested I should slow down or be careful. We were all just people, enjoying this chapter of our lives. One woman, Carol, ran a pottery business from her condo. Another, Margaret, taught online yoga classes. We formed a little entrepreneurs club, meeting twice a month to share challenges and victories. I wish I'd done this years ago, I told them. Built something that was mine, proved I was still capable. It's never too late, Carol said. My mother started a business at 75, ran it until she was 88. Never too late. What a beautiful concept. 3 months into my Florida life, I got a call from Brittany. Mom, I have news. I'm pregnant. Oh, honey, that's wonderful. I want to ask you something. Would you come back for the birth? Stay for a few weeks after? I'd really like your help. But also, I'd really like you to teach me, the way you taught me about business. I want to learn how to be a mom from you. My eyes filled with tears. I would love that. Not because you have to, not because I need managing, but because you're wise and capable, and I want to learn from you. I understand, and yes, I'll come. After we hung up, I sat on my balcony looking at the ocean, thinking about everything that had changed. I'd moved to Florida, lived my dream, built my life, but I hadn't abandoned my family. I'd rebuilt my relationship with them on new terms, better terms, terms where I was valued, respected, seen, and that was worth more than all the beachfront condos in the world. 8 months after moving to Florida, I flew back to New Jersey for Brittany's baby shower. I'd been nervous about going back, worried it might feel like regression, like I'd lose the independence I'd fought so hard to establish. But stepping off the plane, seeing Dave and Brittany waiting for me, I realized I had nothing to worry about. I wasn't the same Susan who'd left, and they weren't the same kids I'd left behind. Mom, Brittany hugged me carefully. She was 7 months pregnant. You look amazing, all tan and happy. Florida agrees with me. It really does, you're glowing. The baby shower was at Brittany's house, but when I walked in, I stopped short. The theme was vintage beginnings, and everywhere I looked, I saw pieces I'd restored. A vintage cradle I'd sold 2 years ago, picture frames from my shop, a rocking chair I'd meticulously refinished. Brittany, where did you get all this? I bought them, from your store, over the past few months. I wanted the baby's room to be filled with things you'd touched, things you'd brought back to life. She smiled. Because you brought me back to life too, taught me what really matters. I couldn't speak, could barely breathe. Every piece has a story, she continued, just like you taught me, and I'm going to tell my daughter those stories, about her grandmother who built a business from nothing, who refused to be invisible, who taught us all what strength really looks like. It's a girl? I managed to ask. It's a girl, and if you'll let me, I'd like to name her Susan, after the strongest woman I know. I absolutely lost it, sobbed right there in front of 30 shower guests. I would be honored. The shower was beautiful, but more than that, it was revelatory. Brittany's friends came up to me all afternoon. Are you the Susan? The timeless find Susan? I follow your Instagram. Your work is incredible. I bought a lamp from you last year. It's my favorite thing in my house. I'd become somewhat famous in the vintage restoration community. My Instagram, which I'd started 6 months ago at Emily's suggestion, had 40,000 followers. People from all over the country knew my work. And here, at my daughter's baby shower, I wasn't just Brittany's mom. I was Susan Mitchell, artist and entrepreneur. That evening, after the guests left, Brittany, Dave, and I sat in her living room. Mom, we need to apologize to you. Again, more thoroughly, Dave started. You've already— No, let us finish, Brittany interrupted. We've been talking, really talking about how we treated you. And it wasn't just disrespectful, it was sexist and ageist and awful. We saw you as aging mother first and person second, Dave continued. We made assumptions based on your age and your widowhood. We never asked what you wanted or what you were capable of. We made you invisible, Brittany said softly, and that was unforgivable. You're forgiven, I said. You've learned, you've grown. That's what matters. Have we, though? Brittany asked. Really? Because I worry that if you hadn't revealed your business, we would have kept treating you that way forever. We only changed because we got caught. Her honesty was refreshing. Maybe, I admitted, but you did change. You are changing. That's not nothing. I'm going to make sure little Susan never makes someone feel invisible, Brittany said. I'm going to teach her that everyone has value, that age doesn't determine worth, that you should never underestimate anyone. Then she'll be lucky to have you as her mother. Dave cleared his throat. I have something to confess. Remember when you first showed us your business, the workshop? Yes. I was embarrassed, not proud, embarrassed, because you'd been running a successful business while I'd been condescending to you, and that made me look stupid and small. Dave, let me finish. I was embarrassed. So I told myself the business was just a hobby, nothing serious, a way for you to keep busy. He looked at me directly. But it wasn't a hobby. It was a career, one you're better at than I am at mine. And I need you to know, I see that now. I respect it. I'm in awe of it. Thank you. I've also been telling everyone about you, he added. Everyone at work, all my friends. My mom runs this incredible online restoration business. I probably sound insufferable, but I don't care. I'm proud of you. These were the words I'd needed to hear 3 years ago. But hearing them now, after I'd already proven myself to myself, they meant even more. That week, I stayed at Dave's house. Emily and I spent hours in her makeshift workshop. She'd turned her bedroom closet into a jewelry-making space. Grandma, I've made $700 this month, she told me excitedly, from my Etsy shop. Is that good? That's excellent. What's your cost of goods sold? We went over her numbers together. I showed her how to track expenses, calculate profit margins, set aside money for taxes. You're teaching me what they don't teach in school, she said. Real-world skills. No, how to be independent, how to not need anyone to rescue you, how to rescue yourself. Smart kid. On my last night in New Jersey, the whole family went to dinner at a nice restaurant, Dave's Treat. Midway through the meal, Brittany raised her glass. A toast to Mom, Susan Mitchell, businesswoman, artist, teacher, inspirer, the woman who taught us that you're never too old to reinvent yourself, never too past your prime to build something meaningful, never too anything to matter. Everyone clinked glasses. I looked around the table, my children, my son-in-law, my granddaughter, soon to be another granddaughter, my family, who finally saw me. Flying back to Florida, I thought about how different this trip had been from my expectations. I'd worried about regression. Instead, I'd found progression. They'd grown. I'd grown. We'd all grown. And the best part? I was flying back to my dream life, to my condo, my business, my independence. I wasn't running from them anymore. I was living for myself. And that made all the difference. A year after moving to Florida, I was living my absolute best life. Timeless Finds was thriving. I'd expanded into offering restoration workshops online. People paid me to teach them my techniques via Zoom. It was another revenue stream, another way to share what I'd learned. My Instagram following had grown to 75,000. I posted before and after photos, time-lapse videos of restoration projects, tips, and tricks. The community I'd built was engaged and enthusiastic. I'd also started dating. Me, Susan Mitchell, 63 years old and on dating apps. His name was Robert. He was 65, a retired engineer who'd moved to Florida 5 years ago. He had kind eyes and made me laugh. Our first date was coffee. Our second was dinner. Our third was a sunset walk on the beach. I have to tell you something, I said during that walk. I run a business, a successful one. It takes up a lot of my time. Good for you, he said simply. So do I. I restore vintage cars. We talked for 3 hours about restoration, about the joy of bringing old things back to life, about building something with your hands. My kids used to think I was helpless, I told him, that I needed to be managed. Mine too, he laughed. They were shocked when I bought a house down here and moved without asking their permission. Did you ask their permission? Hell no. I'm an adult. Why would I? I liked him. Really liked him. We took things slow. No rush. We were both done with rushing through life. But it was nice, having someone to share sunsets with. Someone who saw me as Susan, not as somebody's mother or somebody's responsibility. Meanwhile, baby Susan was born. 6 pounds, 8 ounces. Perfect. I flew up for 2 weeks to help Brittany, but help looked different now. I wasn't there to take over. I was there to support, to teach, to be present without being controlling. How did you do it, Mom? Brittany asked one night at 2 a.m., both of us exhausted from the baby's crying. Raise us without losing yourself. I thought about that question. Honestly, I did lose myself for a while. After your dad died, I didn't know who I was anymore. Wife, mother, those were my identities, but they weren't enough. So you built Timeless Finds. I built Susan. The business was just a byproduct. She looked at tiny Susan sleeping in her arms. I don't want to lose myself in being a mother. Then don't. Keep your business going. Keep your identity. Be Brittany who happens to have a daughter, not just Susan's mom. Is that what you wish you'd done? I did the best I could with what I knew at the time. And I raised 2 good kids. That's nothing to apologize for. But yes, I wish I'd kept more of myself intact throughout. I'm going to try to do both, because of you. You showed me it's possible. Back in Florida, life settled into a comfortable rhythm. Work in the mornings, beach walks in the afternoons, dinner with Robert twice a week, video calls with my family regularly. Emily was thriving. Her Etsy shop had grown significantly. She was making enough to pay for college expenses. She called me every Sunday to go over her numbers. Grandma, I can't believe this is real. I'm 17, and I have a business. Believe it, you earned it. Because you showed me how. David started his own side business too, consulting for small companies in his industry. Watching you build something from scratch inspired me, he said. I realized I'd gotten complacent. You showed me it's never too late to try something new. My $3,000 a month secret had created a ripple effect. Not just financial independence for me, but inspiration for my whole family. One afternoon, I got a call from a producer at a morning talk show. Ms. Mitchell, we'd like to feature you on our show. Your story is remarkable. Widow builds secret business, shocks her family, moves to Florida to live her dream. Our audience would love it. I don't know. We'll fly you to New York, put you up in a nice hotel. You'd be helping other women understand it's never too late to reinvent yourself. I thought about it. About all the women like me who'd been made to feel invisible, who'd been underestimated, who had more to offer than their families realized. Okay, I'll do it. The show was surreal. Sitting on that couch, bright lights, cameras, telling my story to millions of people. So you kept this business secret for 3 years, the host asked? I did, because I needed to prove something to myself. Needed to know I could do it without anyone's help or approval. And when you revealed it, it changed everything. My relationship with my kids, my relationship with myself, everything. What advice would you give to women who feel invisible, who feel underestimated? I looked directly at the camera. Build something, anything. Build a business, build a skill, build confidence. Build proof that you matter. Don't wait for permission. Don't wait for someone to believe in you. Believe in yourself first. The episode aired 2 weeks later. My inbox exploded. Hundreds of messages from women. You inspired me to start my own business. I'm 68 and thought it was too late. You showed me it's not. Thank you for making me feel seen. I cried reading those messages because that's what it had all been about. Being seen, being valued, mattering. And now I was helping other women feel the same way. Robert and I got more serious. He proposed on the beach at sunset. Simple. Perfect. I don't need a big wedding, I told him. I've been married before. I just want us. Us works for me. We got married at the courthouse with Carol and Margaret as witnesses. Then we had dinner at our favorite restaurant. Dave and Brittany were supportive, happy for me. You deserve this, Mom. You deserve everything. I moved into Robert's house, bigger than my condo, with a garage I could convert into a proper workshop. We both worked on our respective restoration projects, parallel but independent. This is partnership, Robert said, supporting each other without consuming each other. It was perfect. 1 year later, I was 64, happily remarried, running a business that had grown beyond my wildest dreams, teaching workshops, inspiring women, living in Florida, watching my family thrive. And none of it would have happened if I hadn't kept that $3,000 secret, if I hadn't proven to myself, and eventually to them, that I was more than they thought, that I was Susan. It's been 5 years since I revealed my secret business to my kids. 5 years since I bought that Lexus and shocked them into seeing me differently. I'm 67 now, still running Timeless Finds, though I've scaled back slightly, still teaching online workshops, still restoring beautiful pieces and giving them new life, still married to Robert, still blissfully happy in Florida. But the real story? The real transformation? It's what happened to my family. Little Susan is 4 now. She comes to visit every summer, and she's already showing signs of entrepreneurial spirit. Last visit, she set up a lemonade stand on the beach. Except she was selling seashells she'd collected and painted. Grandma Susan taught me, she told her mother, you have to find something people want and give it to them. Brittany's business is thriving. She followed my advice. Bootstrap, grow slowly, build sustainably. She's now employing 6 people and eyeing a 3rd location. I couldn't have done this without you, she tells me regularly. Not just the advice, but the example. Dave's consulting business took off too. He quit his corporate job 2 years ago and now works entirely for himself. Best decision I ever made. You showed me it was possible. Emily graduated high school and went to college, which she's paying for entirely with her Etsy income. She's studying business and design. I want to build something like you and Grandma Susan did, she says. She calls me Grandma Susan now to differentiate from Baby Susan. I love it. My relationship with my kids is better than it's ever been, built on respect, not obligation, on admiration, not pity, on seeing each other as fully realized humans, not just family roles. We video chat weekly, they visit Florida twice a year, I go to New Jersey for important events, but we're all living our own lives, supporting each other from a distance. It's healthy, it's right, it's what family should be. The talk show appearance led to more opportunities. I've been featured in several magazines. I wrote an article for AARP about reinventing yourself after 60. I've been invited to speak at women's entrepreneurship conferences. Me, Susan Mitchell, the woman her kids thought needed managing. Now I'm inspiring thousands of women to build their own lives, claim their own power, refuse to be invisible. Last month, I got an email that made me cry. It was from a woman named Patricia. Susan, I'm 65 years old. My children were planning to move me into assisted living because they thought I couldn't manage on my own anymore. I watched your talk show interview and something clicked. I started an online baking business. Within 6 months, I was making enough to prove I was perfectly capable of independent living. More than capable. Thriving. You saved my life. Thank you. That's what this has all been about. Not just my freedom, but showing others that freedom is possible. Robert and I are planning a big trip next year, Europe, 3 months. We're both scaling back our businesses temporarily to just enjoy life. We've earned it, he says. We've proven ourselves. Now, let's enjoy ourselves. He's right. I spent so long proving I was capable that I sometimes forget to just be, to exist without having to justify my existence. I'm learning to do that now. To be Susan without having to prove Susan's worth. It's harder than it sounds, but I'm getting there. Last week, Brittany called with news. She's pregnant again, another girl, and she wants to name this one Joan, my mother's name. Because legacy matters, she said. Susan for strength, Joan for love. 2 grandmothers who taught us what matters. Your grandmother would be honored. So would you, I hope. More than you know. After we hung up, I thought about legacy, about what I'm leaving behind. It's not just Timeless Finds, though that business will probably outlive me. It's not just the money I saved, though that's secure. It's the example. It's showing my children and grandchildren that you're never too old to start over, never too dismissed to matter, never too invisible to be seen. It's teaching them that respect is earned by demanding it, not by hoping for it. That dignity comes from within, not from external validation. That you can love your family without losing yourself. I look at the vision board I made 5 years ago, the one that hung in my secret workshop in New Jersey, the one covered with pictures of Florida condos and beach sunsets. I'm living that dream now, actually living it. But the dream was never just about the place. It was about the life, the freedom, the ability to choose myself without guilt. And I'm teaching my granddaughters, both Susans, present and future, that they can choose themselves too. That being a good mother, a good daughter, a good woman doesn't mean sacrificing everything. It means being whole, being strong, being visible, being yourself unapologetically. That $3,000 secret was never really about the money. It was about the power to define myself on my own terms, the power to reject others' limitations, the power to build something meaningful. And that power, I'm passing it down to Brittany, to Emily, to baby Susan, to every woman who reads my story and thinks, maybe I can do that too. Because you can. We all can. It's never too late to be seen, never too late to matter, never too late to build something that's entirely yours. I'm 67 years old. I'm an entrepreneur. I'm a wife. I'm a grandmother. I'm a teacher. I'm an inspiration. But most importantly, I'm Susan, not someone's old mother, not someone's burden, not someone to be managed. Just Susan, living her best life on her own terms, in the Sunshine State, with seashells and restored antiques and a family that finally sees her. And that, my friends, is worth more than any amount of money. That's worth everything. If you're listening to this and you feel invisible, underestimated, or written off because of your age or your circumstances, please hear me. You have value. You have potential. You have time. Build something. Start small. Start secret if you need to, but start. Prove to yourself what you're capable of. And then, when you're ready, show the world, because the world needs to see you. Your family needs to see you. But most importantly, you need to see yourself. Thank you for listening to my story. Now go write yours.